Let me just say it straight. No buildup, no careful framing, just the truth. Direct and unqualified, the way you deserve to hear it. You are extraordinary. And I do not mean that in the way people say it when they are trying to make someone feel better. I mean it in the specific, observable, undeniable way that comes from sitting with your energy and watching what you have done with what was done to you. Because what you have done with it is something that most people do not have the constitution to do. What you have done is take something that was meant to diminish you and turn it into the very thing that makes you formidable. What you have done is alchemize, and not everyone can do that, not even close to everyone. So before we go anywhere else in this reading, I need you to receive that, not to nod at it politely and move on, to actually let it land in whatever part of you still struggles to believe it. Because what I am about to walk you through today is a reading that sees you, really sees you. And what it sees is someone who has been through things that had no business happening to them and who responded to those things in a way that is, without exaggeration, remarkable. Let me start with what I feel when I sit with your story, not the surface of it, the actual texture of it. Because I think one of the things that has been missing, one of the things that this reading is specifically here to provide is a witness, someone who sits with the reality of what you have been through without flinching, without immediately redirecting to the silver lining, without rushing past the hard part to get to the hopeful part. Someone who is willing to say what happened to you was real, it was heavy, and you did not deserve it. You did not deserve it. I want to say that again, plainly, without softening it or surrounding it with qualification. Whatever form the pain took, whatever version of being treated as less than you are, of having your trust violated, of being on the receiving end of someone else's dysfunction or cruelty or selfishness or simple devastating carelessness, whatever specific shape it took in your life, none of it was a reflection of your value. None of it was what you deserved. None of it was the universe's assessment of who you are or what you are worth. It was someone else's limitation, someone else's damage, someone else's inability to handle what you brought to the table. And the fact that it was directed at you does not make it about you, it makes it about them. I need that to be clear before we go anywhere else. Because everything that follows, all of the power, all of the transformation, all of the extraordinary thing that you have built from the ruins of what was done to you, it only makes complete sense when you understand that the foundation of it is this: you were wronged, and you chose from that place of being wronged to become something that the wronging could not have anticipated. And let me stay here for a moment because I think there is something that needs to be named that often gets skipped over in conversations about turning pain into power. And that is the fact that the transformation is not instantaneous. It is not clean. It is not a single moment of decision where you chose strength and never looked back. The transformation I am sensing in your energy happened over time, through stages, through periods of genuine grief and genuine anger and genuine confusion about who you were and what you deserved and whether the things that happened to you said something true about your value. There were moments where it broke you open. I feel that. Real, specific moments where the weight of what you had been carrying became too much for the person you were at that time to hold, and something cracked. Something gave way. And I want to say clearly that those moments of breaking, were not weakness. They were the necessary fractures through which something new could eventually enter. You cannot rebuild something without first acknowledging that something broke, and you acknowledged it fully, in the private moments, in the dark moments, in the moments nobody else was present to witness. You acknowledged it, and then you began slowly, imperfectly, without any guarantee that it would work to rebuild. And what you built on the other side of the breaking is something qualitatively different from what existed before, not just repaired, not just recovered, transformed. Fundamentally, structurally transformed in a way that makes you right now, today, a person who is genuinely not the same person that the pain tried to create. The pain tried to create someone smaller, someone more fearful, someone who had learned to expect less, to want less, to believe they deserved less. And somewhere in you, in that core thing I keep sensing that has always been essentially indestructible, you refused. You refused to become that person. You took what was intended to make you smaller and you used it to make yourself larger, more clear, more certain of your own worth, precisely because you had been shown what it looks like when your worth is not honored. And you decided quietly, privately, without announcement, that you would never again settle for that. That decision is where your power lives, and it is extraordinary. I want to talk about something that I feel very specifically in your energy, something about the nature of the power that has been built in you through all of this. Because I think when people talk about turning pain into power, they sometimes imagine it as a kind of hardness, a toughening, a calcification of the soft places into something impenetrable. And I want to say clearly that what I sense in you is not that. What I sense is something far more interesting and far more formidable than hardness. What I sense is clarity, a specific, hard won, deeply personal clarity about what is real and what is not, about who is genuine and who is performing, about what love actually feels like versus what the performance of love feels like, about the difference between someone who is with you and someone who is simply near you. You develop this clarity through the most difficult possible teacher, through experiencing the absence of these things, through being close to their counterfeit versions for long enough to learn in your bones the distinction. And now that clarity operates in you like a kind of radar. It is quiet, it is not dramatic, it does not announce itself, but it is accurate in a way that you have learned to trust, even when trusting it costs you something. People who have not been through what you have been through do not have this radar. They are still learning to distinguish the real from the performed. They are still susceptible to the things that used to work on you before the clarity arrived and made those things visible for what they are. And while I would never suggest that what you paid for this clarity was worth the price, it was not. No one should have to pay that price. I do want to say that what you got in return is genuinely rare. And it protects you now in ways you do not always consciously register, in ways that quietly, consistently keep you from going back into the spaces that would diminish you. You know too much now, and that knowing is power. I want to speak now about what the people around you see because I feel their perception of you very clearly, and I think you deserve to know what it is, even though knowing it might feel uncomfortable. Even though receiving genuine recognition is something that has not always been easy for you for reasons that are entirely understandable, what they see is someone who does not break, not in the way that they expected, not in the way that the circumstances seemed to demand. They have watched you go through things. Some of them have watched it up close, and they have been waiting, sometimes almost unconsciously, for the breaking point, for the moment where you finally collapse under the weight of what you have been carrying, and it has not come. And what that has created in them, in the people who have been paying attention, is something between admiration and awe, because they know, if they are honest with themselves, that they are not certain they could do what you have done, that they are not certain they have what it takes to go through what you have been through and come out of it still standing, still caring, still capable of extending themselves with genuine warmth toward a world that has not always extended warmth back. They call it strength. Some of them call it resilience. Some of them do not have a word for it. They just feel it when they are around you. That quality of someone who has been tested and knows it and is not afraid of being tested again. That specific, undeniable quality of someone who has nothing left to prove and everything left to build. And that energy, that particular energy of someone who has already survived their worst and come through it with their essential self intact, is magnetic in a way that is genuinely difficult to describe, but impossible to miss. You walk into spaces and people feel it, not because you perform it, because it is simply true about you, because it radiates from someone who knows in the cellular level of themselves that they can handle whatever comes, because the handling has already been proven and proven and proven again. You are bad, Virgo, and I mean that in every possible sense of that word. Let me speak to something now that I feel sits just beneath the surface of everything I have described so far. Something that I think is important to name because I think it is still in process for you still being integrated, and I want to offer some perspective on it. There is a way in which the very power that you have built can sometimes make it harder to ask for help, to admit when you are struggling, to let people see the moments where the strength is not effortless, because there are those moments always, and they are real and they deserve to exist without shame. But when you have survived what you have survived, when you have built what you have built, when the people around you have come to depend on the version of you that keeps going, there can be enormous pressure, largely self imposed, to maintain that, to be consistently strong, to never show the cost of the strength, because showing the cost might make people question whether the strength is real. I want to say something about that directly. The strength is real, and it coexists with moments of genuine difficulty. Both things are true simultaneously, and neither one cancels the other out. The person who has been through what you have been through and turned it into what you have turned it into is also allowed to have hard days, is also allowed to feel the weight of things, is also allowed to say to the right people in the right moments, I am not okay right now, and I need something from you. That is not a contradiction of your strength. That is the fullness of your humanity. And any version of power that requires the complete suppression of your humanity in order to be maintained is not the kind of power I am sensing in you. The power I am sensing is bigger than that. It can hold both. It can hold the extraordinary capability and the genuine tenderness, the formidable and the vulnerable, the one who does not break, and the one who sometimes in private needs to let that be allowed. Please let that be allowed. I want to talk about what this power is opening in your life right now because I feel it very specifically and I want to be concrete rather than abstract. There is a recognition coming, a specific, external, tangible recognition of the quality that you carry. Something that says, in a real and practical way, that what you have built in yourself has value that the world around you is beginning to acknowledge. This is not a soft acknowledgement. This is not someone telling you that you are inspiring and then moving on with their day. This is something with weight, something with consequence, something that opens a door that has been closed, not because you were not ready for what was behind it, but because the timing required you to be exactly who you are right now. The version of you that exists on the other side of everything you have been through, the version that carries this particular, specific, hard won power, that door is opening. And what is behind it is proportionate to what you have built, which means it is significant. In the area of relationship, I keep sensing something that I want to describe carefully because I feel it is nuanced. What is approaching is not someone who is going to love you because you are strong. That would be its own kind of trap, being loved for your power rather than for your wholeness. What is approaching is someone who loves you because of all of it, because of the power and because of what the power was built from, because of the strength and because of the tenderness that survived alongside it. Someone who understands, either from their own experience or from a depth of empathy that approaches it, what it cost to go through what you have been through and remain who you are. Someone who does not need you to perform strength for them. Someone who is equally comfortable with the formidable version of you and the version that sometimes needs to be held. That combination, being seen in your full power and being seen in your full vulnerability by the same person with the same quality of love, that is the deepest form of being known. And I feel it moving toward you. I want to close this reading with something I mean with every piece of honesty I have available to me right now. What was done to you was wrong. It was heavy. It left marks that are real and that you continue to carry in ways that not everyone can see. And the person you have become, in spite of it, or more precisely, because of the specific choices you made about what to do with it, is one of the most remarkable things I encounter in this work. Because not everyone makes those choices. Not everyone looks at the material of their pain and decides to build something from it. Many people, and understandably so, let it limit them. Let it define the ceiling of what they believe is possible. Let it become the story they tell themselves about why extraordinary things are not available to them. You did not do that. You looked at the material of your pain and you built power. You looked at what tried to make you small and you made yourself large. You looked at abuse and saw not a verdict about your worth, but a test of your strength, and you passed it. You have been passing it. Every single day that you wake up and choose to continue building rather than retreat into the wreckage, you pass it again. That is not ordinary. That is not something everyone is capable of. That is specifically, personally, irreplaceably you. You are bad, Virgo. In the truest, deepest, most complete sense of that word. And the world, the right parts of the world, the parts that have the eyes to see it, is beginning to recognize exactly what it is standing in the presence of. Stand in that. Stand in all of it. You have earned every single inch of it. If this reading saw something real in you today, if it named something you have lived and never quite heard spoken this directly, please leave a comment below. Tell me what you turned pain into. Tell me what you refused to let break you. Tell me where you are in your becoming. I read every word, and this community sustains me in ways I cannot fully express. Share this with someone who needs to hear that what they survived is the beginning of their power, not the end of their story. A like helps this reach the people who most need it. And if you are not yet subscribed, I would love to walk this with you. Virgo, you took what was meant to end you and made it the beginning. That is everything. That is you.